Oh, I'm having so much fun.
I say that like the fun didn't start the moment that we sat down at this desk.
That's true.
That's when it really starts, right? But now the magic happens. First the fun, then the magic.
That's good.
And the magic begins with our green Zerg player in the bottom left from the team Evil Geniuses. It is EG.IdrA. And in the upper right, in the red, from the team Infinity.Sandbox, or Infinity 7. Did I just say that?
You know how cool that would
Cats
be? An Infinity.Sandbox? That's the greatest childhood invention
Dude,
ever.
When I was a kid, I would have loved to have an Infinity.Sandbox. It just goes on forever. That's actually called a desert, I think.
Yes.
In the real world.
That's actually true. So maybe not all that fun, actually, now that I think about it. Dearth of life, not good.
Pretty much. Well, you know, it gets everywhere.
That's true.
And I think it's SanddBox is actually how you pronounce it. Oh, that's because I turned them off.
Aha.
For the show. Whoops. There you go.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
I mess with your setup when I do my show that I don't tell you.
Thank you. Well, hey, we have sound once again. So
that's good. We do have sound, and we do have a ZVZ on Daybreak. It's a rather large map for a ZVZ. You don't see a lot of very early pools or anything like that. You generally see a lot of 15 hatches, maybe a pool first into hatch. But if one player does decide to go for Zergling speed, that can be something that you can use definitely to an advantage early on. It looks like both of these guys are going to go for 15 hatch, though, so we are going to move into a little bit longer ZVZ, most likely.
I like that, too. I love the longer brand of ZVZs that have been happening lately. I think they're just more fun to watch, especially even when you get past that Roach Infestor stage, and then you're messing with really ridiculous unit compositions. Broodlords get thrown in there as well. Sometimes you see tech switches back to mass Zerglings when they're on 4 and 5 base. Ends up being very entertaining, certainly more fun, in my opinion. While the Zergling Baneling wars are very stressful, I enjoy the long macro games more.
Right. You want to relax when you watch ZVZ, right? You want to just be like, ZVZ.
Yes.
Not me, man. I like it fast and furious, maybe even too fast, too furious once in a while. But the Zergling Baneling wars are fun to watch, not so much fun to play. But as long as it gets into a little bit later game, then I'm okay with that, I suppose. But we'll have to see what both of these guys have in mind. They're both getting their gases at around the same time. EG.IdrA getting his slightly earlier here. And the big question that I have is just how much Banelings are going to be a part of this game. I mean, because both of them are probably going to get, well, here's the thing, is that if both players go hatch first, the Baneling nest that you would normally see a hatch first player get isn't quite as necessary, because you're not going to have one player getting dangerous things like Zerglings and Zergling speed and Banelings a little bit earlier than the opponent. So in some cases, we do see players skip the Baneling nest, go right to Roaches. They're going to try to feel each other out a little bit. You know, we'll probably see a little bit more scouting from both Zerg players. But I'm curious to see now if they are both going to go for that Baneling nest anyway, or if one of them is going to be a bit brave and just throw down the Roach Warren.
All right. Well, we'll see what both these players end up going with, as you indicated before. But for now, all quiet on the Western Front. Builds are pretty much mirroring each other. EG.IdRA's been a little bit better with his macro so far, as you know, his queens are finishing up right now, but his Zergling speed is quite a bit faster. He's on even workers. He got out his Zerglings to scout the map just a bit faster than his opponent. So SandBox just lagging behind ever so slightly. Looks like he's actually going to move over to a third queen right away. EG.IdrA, no such thing for him quite yet.
Yeah, I mean, despite his recent results, EG.IdRA is still definitely one of the best macro Zergs out there. I mean, he doesn't miss a beat when it comes to injects and things like that.
Yeah.
So it's natural that you're going to see him slightly ahead in a situation like this. SandBox, of course, not quite having quite as prestigious individual results throughout his StarCraft 2 careers as EG.IdRA has had, but certainly a threat too. So looks like they are both getting the Baneling nests as well, but the question now is just how much they're going to commit to them. Is it going to be just a couple defensive Banelings on the ramp and then Roaches, or is it going to be some straight-up aggression? And I love ZVZ. I don't know. I love all mirror matchups.
Sure.
I love to see what players decide to try to do with this kind of stuff, because a mirror matchup is where I feel like you truly see the skill of a player. You know, I mean, even in ZVZ, where the openings can be a bit rock, paper, scissory, and the advantages that you get, and that's interesting. A very fast third hatchery from SandBox. Bit of a risk being taken there. That's going to be tough to defend if EG.IdRA scouts it, and he will actually scout it very quickly it looks like, oh, nice scouting by IdrA.
Yeah, that speedy overlord. That's what I was thinking as soon as I saw the third queen pop out and started building creep tumors down to that point. I was like, well, something doesn't quite add up here. You don't want that third queen necessarily, unless you're going to do something a little bit tricky, and indeed SANDBOX is. IdrA responding by putting down a third of his own right away. Again, he has been eking out that macro advantage throughout this entire game. As you can see, up by 11 workers. His tech switches have come a little bit slower than his opponent, of course, because he is investing so much into that economy, but certainly playing very, very solid.
Yeah, so we do have that Roach Warren going down now for SANDBOX, playing fairly standard. I mean, you don't usually see a Zerg versus Zerg go up to 3 bases before any sort of aggression, really. It's a bit surprising. IdrA making a couple banelings there that he can run into the third a little bit later, but I'm curious. I mean, I keep saying that, I know, but it's... I don't know. It's just interesting to me. I'm sorry. Now, does IdrA have his Roach Warren yet? I didn't check.
No, I don't believe. No, he does not. He does not.
He doesn't. Yeah, no lair either, anything like that.
Nope. No, just sitting on pretty low tech for now, but it looks like we are going to have an engagement. Zerglings versus Banelings. IdrA doing a very nice thing, splitting up all of his Banelings there into pairs of 2. Almost lost a huge group of Zerglings, and SANDBOX trying to run away with his remaining Banelings, but they're actually being chased down pretty effectively. IdrA going to snag a queen kill on the way out as well.
Yep, and he did an okay job handling some of those Banelings. It could have been a little bit better. He did lose a lot initially, but he has managed to make this base more or less useful for his opponent right now. And where will he go from there? SANDBOX kind of in a corner to a certain extent in that he wants to get his roaches out. He wants to kind of get something going there, but he also wants to get his third base going. And this is kind of a reason why we don't see Zerg players take their thirds quite so quickly. It's because you get into these situations a lot, right? Where you want to use this third, but you really can't because of things like this. IdrA just runs in the main, might be able to snipe off another queen. Nope, just going to run past, maybe try to focus down a drone or 2.
Yeah, it looks like
get those either.
Well, he actually did get a couple.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he got a couple kills there. So, I swear there was little. Okay, there must have just been Zerglings disappearing. I'm sorry, I saw blood splotches. So, I am wrong. Blood splotches do not indicate drone kills. Yeah, that's right. So,
mental note.
Well, SANDBOX is going to run down. Of course, the Roach Warren that you were referring to, just finishing up now for Andrews. He does finish up a macro hatch as well, and lair tech. His lair tech is quite far ahead of his opponent. He doesn't have any roaches out there yet, but he has his own +1 upgrades on the way. Looks like SANDBOX is going to try and do some damage here, but Zergling's getting cleaned up very quickly. Well done by IdrA.
Yeah, IdrA not losing any drones, not losing his queen there, doing a great job of defending. And I like his timing better for his Roach Warren and things like that. He's using his third a little bit more. You know, he's getting his +1 at a time where he's still going to be in good shape for that. Looks like SANDBOX may have his +1 carapace a little bit earlier. Yeah. But all in all, IdrA's upgrades are not going to be all that far behind. And he's also getting a second Evo chamber, too. So he's going to be able to catch up big time in the upgrade department there as well. Now, what's the drone count for both of these players? Ooh, HydraDen, too.
Yeah, HydraDen coming up for IdrA. It is 71 to 72 workers, but of course, IdrA hasn't really taken much economic damage, and he's been sitting on those for quite a bit longer than his opponent. So, it kind of reflects he does have the additional tech and more units popping out right now. Now, SANDBOX is going to drive away that run of Zerglings, but as we can see, IdrA's got a fair number of roaches himself. He's got that Hydralisk Den just finishing up, so he'll be staring down Roach Hydra. SANDBOX, on the other hand, is starting his infestation pit as soon as I can track that down.
You know, this is I like IdrA's decision actually to go for Roach Hydra. It's a style that a lot of Zergs have started to kind of shy away from, just because a Roach Infester generally can do pretty well against it. But if you're in a situation like IdrA knows he's in, where it's going to be a little while before the infestors come out, because keep in mind, even though the infestation pit is finishing for SANDBOX right now, there's still going to be time for the upgrade too, right?
Pathogen glands, yeah.
So yeah, IdrA's going to have a really nice timing here that's probably going to line up with around when +1 carapace finishes.
Ooh.
Where, oh wow, he doesn't even cancel that, where IdrA can actually move in and potentially do a lot of damage, maybe even do something like kill the third.
And IdrA himself is establishing his 4th Inside of the Pocket expansion. Looks like they're using the GSL or IPL version of the map, of course, with 6 mineral patches and 1 rich Vespian geyser. Let's go ahead and take a look. There's a big army coming out of IdrA. He's going to start sniping a few overlords as he makes his way across the map, having that base advantage certainly good for him now, and sitting on 180 supply to his opponent's 135. Going to run in now and try and inflict some early damage.
Nice.
Runs by into the main, going to pick off some queens as well.
Yeah, very nice move by IdrA moving in. He's going to get both of these queens, potentially a couple drones as well, and he's pulling his opponent's army away from his third base. Great distracting move by IdrA. This is some great ZVZ, man. I mean, IdrA's just been ahead of this guy in every regard since second one, right? And there he comes at the third.
All right, going to make his way in now. Does he have the damage output to be able to break through this? We'll find out. Those high DPS Hydra sitting at the back. Looks like they do have Groove Spine, so sitting on 6 range as well, starting to punch through a good number of the roaches. Yeah. StarCraft making a pretty good defense against the front line of units, but the reinforcements just keep streaming in for IdrA. And of course, because of the way his opponent's economy was ravaged, there's just no way that StarCraft is going to be able to reproduce enough units to be able to eventually take this head on.
The infestors are about to pop out right now for StarCraft, but is it too late? There they are. IdrA focusing down one. Oh, it barely gets away. And IdrA still in a good position to take out this third. He lost like no Hydras initially in that engagement, and that is exactly the timing that he wanted to hit.
Yeah, so it looks like a base going to go down. He's killed 4 workers. He's killed, what, 4 queens, I think, with Zerglings just a second ago as well. Yeah. There are no queens out right now for StarCraft.
Wow.
His production is going to be almost nothing.
Yeah, I mean, that might actually, that'll win the game right there for IdrA. I mean, the larva reduction that his opponent is going to kind of have to deal with in this case is going to be very, very hard to overcome. You can see the supply. IdRA's 70 ahead right now. And he will, if he wants to, potentially be able to just kind of overrun StarCraft right now.
Right. Yeah, and it looks like that's exactly what's going to happen. Unfortunately, those Spine Crawlers not going to be able to make it to their destination.
Yeah. Nope.
Going down right away. StarCraft gives up that base. There's GG.IdrA takes game number 1 for Evil Geniuses. They go up 1-0 in this best of 9.
Yeah, and just all around a really well-played ZVZ by IdrA. You know, he made nothing but good